everybody. Welcome back to the Training, Learning, and Development community. Happy Friday to all of you out there. Thanks so much for being here. And I'm going to just take a quick look to make sure that we have people coming into the session. Yes. Oh, look at those friendly faces. I see Gina Johnson. Welcome back. Antoinette. Let's see. Dawn Metcalf. Yay. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I just want to start today with just a few housekeeping items. First thing, kind of important. Unfortunately, our third speaker for today is not going to be available. Had something else that he had to attend to. It was Fernando. So we're only going to have 2 sessions today. Apologize for that. I'll try to get him back to actually do the session at another time, and we could do it as part of our regular kind of weekly session. So hopefully we'll have him back for that. And so that's the first thing. Next thing, wait, where's my little notepad? Oh, yes. I just want to thank everybody. Thank all the speakers that were here this week. I don't know, but I feel like there was a lot of content that was pretty transformative for folks. If anything, if you're kind of new to doing virtual sessions like this and looking for communities that you can connect with, this really is a good one. It's not like, basically I have like this tool AirMeet, and I've been building this community for quite a few years now, and it's really just kind of very informal. It's not focused on like sponsorships or money or anything like that. I do have like a member tier that you can access gated content just so that I can pay the bills here. But for the most part, whenever you see one of these events pop up, just sign up. It's really, really, I think it can be an integral part of your professional development experience, and there's no pressure. You can watch the recordings later if you're a member, or most of them I release for free. So yeah, just keep supporting the training, learning, and development community if you can. It's really kind of it's kind of a passion project for myself and a lot of people in the community. And that includes somebody like Abby, who has been formative in really putting this program together for the last few days. So thank you, Abby. And again, thanks to all the speakers. And then I want to mention too, I've got a couple calls. So the Accessible and Inclusive Design Conference, which we do every summer and tends to be one of our, it usually is our largest event, and I get emails, messages from people all the time that talk about how great that particular event is. We're going to be doing that one in July. So I'm going to be announcing on our Slack group that I'm going to be looking for speakers, looking for volunteers to help put that one together. We'll probably make that one a week-long event because that content is so important. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not already part of the Slack group, go to tldchat.us and join there. And then also Dawn, we need to put together, I've been trying to formulate our next RPG type of event. If you at all are into, if you nerd out and are into role-playing games and story and scenarios, we did one last year where we did like kind of a Dungeons and Dragons theme, and how that was relevant to L&D. I want to do another one like that, probably focus a lot more on story and learning. So I'm putting out a call for that one too, because I would like to really get that event produced. And let me see, is that it? Yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks again, everybody, for being here this week. Only 2 sessions today. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hide myself and let Abby take over. And Dina, this is going to be a fantastic session.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. Anybody have exciting plans for the weekend? I know it's going to be really hot here in Denver over the weekend, but hopefully you have something fun planned that doesn't have to do with job searching. But here to introduce our special guest this morning, Dina Beavers. She is joining us as a transitioned teacher. She actually left the classroom in 2021 from her special education position as a high school geometry teacher. So she left the classroom to become an instructional designer. And since then, she's worked in fintech and financial industries, creating learning experiences for individual contributors and management through e-learning courses. So I also learned that she recently started a new position. Yay, congrats. And is joining us today to share her knowledge, but make sure that you check out her podcast, Future Former Teachers, and the book that she just finished, Teacher Tired, 100 Former Teachers, Their New Careers, and Why They Left. So Without further ado, I will turn it over to Dina and let her take it away.
Thank you so much, Abby. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Louise, for having me here at TLDC. I'm excited to be here. And let's go ahead and get started because I really want to get to your questions. That's where I want to get to. So let's see. Let me get to that slide. So this is me. My name is Dina Beavers. I did leave teaching. I started teaching in 2011, actually. And around 2018, before COVID, I decided that I wanted to leave education. I went down the track of maybe becoming a vice principal because really that's all that I knew. I said, well, let me try and go up the track and figure that out. And so I took a couple of courses and that wasn't quite what I wanted to do. And I literally Googled, what else can a teacher do? Because I had not done much of anything else. My first professional career was as a teacher. And so I just didn't know that what else could I do? And I stumbled upon instructional design, literally stumbled upon it, had never heard of it, and didn't really realize, oh, those professional developments that we take e-learnings for, for mandatory reporting and things of that nature. Someone had to create that. And instructional designers. And so I upskilled and I reskilled. I went through IDLE Academy because I wanted someone to tell me what to do. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And at that time, there was information that was out there, and I was finding it, but I personally did not want to go through all of that. And so then I went through IDLE Academy, and I think it was in 2020, 2021. And then I landed my first corporate position as an instructional designer. I was blessed to get the title actually of senior instructional designer because when she interviewed me, she said, I'm hiring you because you are a teacher and because you do understand learning and development. And because I had a portfolio, I was able to also show that aspect of e-learning development. And so in 2021, I got my first position. I'll talk a little bit about this in terms of we relocated and I got another position. And in my last position that I had, I just really wasn't, the gentleman that I worked for, the company that I worked for was great. It just wasn't a good fit in terms of that actual position. So I did make the decision to leave. And so that was in January of this year. And because I still have to pay bills, I actually went back into teaching, and that was a whole scene. And we can talk about that in the questions and answers section if you'd like. But as Abby stated, I did some more interviewing. And I landed a local position as a training coordinator. I haven't made the announcement out there on LinkedIn yet. I will once I start, but you all are the first to know. So that's a little bit about my path. And so I want to hit this from an angle. I want to talk a little bit about the positions that teachers are in, that current teachers are in. I just kind of want to frame this conversation a little bit. There are approximately 4 million teachers in America, and there are 133 million full-time positions, not teaching, just in general in America. Now let's think about where teachers are. In Title I schools, more than half of teachers are in Title I schools. And so we'll talk a little bit about what that means and where I'm going with that. And these are the approximate numbers of Title I schools versus non-Title I schools. And so the point that I want to get to, and I want you can put this in the chat, and Abby, I'm not going to be able to see the chat, so you can just tell me when to move on, is have you ever felt that your role as a teacher required you to compromise your personal, moral, or ethical beliefs? Just want you to just think about that for a moment. You can say yes or no in the chat. You can even give a 1 or 2 word description of where you felt like, that really didn't feel right. Okay.
We have some answers rolling in here.
Okay. If you want to read a couple, that's fine.
Yeah, yes, that's why I left.
Okay. Somebody hit that on the nail on the head for me. Thank you for bringing that comment.
Sure.
All right. So here are a couple of them. Pressure to pass students with insufficient completion of assignments. If you've ever experienced that or know someone who has. Observing inadequate accommodations for IEP support services. lack of resources for students in need. And that kind of ties back to my Title I slides that I had there. Enforcing unjust or unbiased disciplinary policies. And so what I want to get to is, and what I found in the book that I've written is that teachers go into education because we want to help students, we want to help people, we want to be instructors, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of times teachers leave not because of the salary. Now that ends up being maybe the second or third tier reason why teachers end up leaving. But that first tier is, I have found only a few people have said it was for the money. So for instance, I had a gentleman in my book that said, and I'll talk about that here in a second, he said that he wanted to raise a family and he realized that on a teacher salary that it just wasn't going to happen for him in the area that he was at. But again, where teachers are and what they're experiencing in terms of what is called moral injury are the reasons why teachers are leaving education. So here's a definition of moral injury. It comes from the military, but also they've attributed it to other professions, and teaching is one of them. The lasting psychological, biological, spiritual, behavioral, and social impact of perpetuating and failing to prevent or bearing witness to act that transgress deeply held moral beliefs and expectations. And a couple of things that I want to point out right now, especially for you, if you're currently teaching, and if you're a former teacher, the psychological and the biological. Just think about that for a moment. In all of the interviews that I've done, a lot of people that I have interviewed, a lot of teachers, former teachers, have really talked to me about that psychological part. I had to get to a point when I was interviewing teachers where I had to tell them, I said, look, this next question that I'm going to ask you, why you left, it may be a trigger question for you. So I want you to guard yourself in that regard. But I want you to just think about that. I'm having to come up with a statement because the trauma is so real. And then also the biological aspect of that. The physical, a lot of people don't understand that when you're a teacher, you're always on. And you're on display and you're always on. And so when those pressures come, when you don't have that support, when you're in a Title I school and you have students who have needs that are well beyond what we should be attributing to or not caring about, because we absolutely want to care. But a lot of us have bought food for students. I watched a session one time on TV. The gentleman, he had a laundromat in the school. And the onus was upon him not to, he didn't have to do that, but he felt the need to do that. And so there are things that are going on in some of our schools and with the students that really, and this sounds harsh and I don't mean it to sound this way, but shouldn't fall on us. Like there should be systems in place by now that should take care of these needs so that we can do what we're trained to do, which is to provide quality education and instruction. And so, I want people to really think about why they're in the position that they're in. It's not just because, I can't take it anymore, or maybe I'm not strong enough to take this. No, there's an entire system that is going on that is causing people to feel this way. And so there's been some research. This was from an article, and it suggests that moral injury might be widespread in high poverty and large non-white schools where students suffer from all manners of social problems that schools are expected to fix without remotely adequate resources. And so I want you to just think about that. If you're a teacher and you're out there and you're struggling, these are the reasons why. And I also want you to know that you're not alone in this struggle. And here's another statement. And it's the bottom one. Because of a push to inflate grades and other superficial administrative solutions, teachers felt they were no longer able to do that. Now, this is from an article. So again, I just want to keep pointing to you that you're not alone, that it's happening everywhere, and that something has to change. Some more statements here. Sorry, this is just the nerd in me. I started going down a rabbit hole. One of them, there's no support. When I was writing the book, and I'm still working on it in terms of editing and everything like that, that is the one thing I just kept hearing over and over again. I don't have support. I don't have support. And that looks like many different things in different ways. And if someone wants to put in the comment, what does that mean to you, lack of support? If you have any kind of examples of what that means. And Abby, again, if you could help me out, because I can't see the screen. If anybody types anything in there. Someone else said, you take care of the social and emotional first, and then the kids will have better chances of attending those academic achievements that we need for them to do.
We don't have too many comments yet. Just validation. Brenda said, as a substitute teacher, I can see and understand all of the things that you said were issues.
Okay.
And June has a little target there. I think nail on the head.
Okay.
Right, June? Hopefully I interpreted that correctly. Antoinette says administration did not uphold district policy.
Yeah, I heard that. I hear that constantly. And I don't mean to bash administrators, but that is what I keep hearing. So it leads me to believe that they're under some type of pressure as well, because that is something that I kept hearing as well. Administration. All right. So, and just another a tweet from a teacher who basically just kind of summed it all up in regards to moral injury and how that is what pushed her out of the classroom. All right. So, leading to what I'm doing right now is I've written a book. I'm still, like I said, editing it. And I'm actually even still coming up with the title. I know it's going to be called Teacher Tired. I've interviewed actually over 100 former teachers in their different careers. It was absolutely God-inspired. There was nothing in me that said, Dina, write a book. I did have a podcast a couple of years ago. And even when I did the podcast, it's called Future Former Teachers. I interviewed approximately 24 to 26 former teachers who were in the L&D space. And even then, when I started it, I knew it was just going to be for one season. When I left the classroom, I became a mentor to a lot of people. I was a part of another group called Teaching, A Path to Learning and Development with Sarah Stevick, and I think you all are familiar with who she is. And so I was in that space for a long time, and then I just got out of that space. But like I said, I fully believe that this book was God-inspired. Over 100 interviews. And the main questions that I wanted to ask, the first question really was, hey, what do you do in your career? Walk me through that. Walk me through some projects from the beginning to the end. What happens before you get the project? What are you doing in the project? What are the deliverables? What does it look like? And then what happens at the end? And as I started to ask just this one question, which is, why did you leave? I realized that this is actually twofold. And so that's what the book will show you is information on different careers, and then also talking about why some of the teachers have left. So I've got over 100 different interviews, but not 100 different careers. And I've got more than this that's on the screen. I'd probably say I have about 70 different careers. I have a lawyer, software engineers, instructional designers, YouTube personalities, and I forgot, do I have them on here? Yes, I have a comedian. I have people from the UK and Ireland. I have just across the board. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to just put the call out there and say, hey, if you're a former teacher and you left, I want to talk with you. And I had to even turn some people away because I started getting a lot. I started getting a lot of instructional designers because I know that's my space. But I want to show you, especially for teachers who are still in the classroom, you literally can do almost anything. And if I have 100, then I could have gotten 1,000. And if I could have gotten 1,000, then there's probably 10,000 easily. So I just want to just put that in your head that it is absolutely possible. And there's nothing super special about all of these people, except for the fact that they did it, and you can too. All right. So One of the questions that I ask is, what advice would you give to anyone considering leaving teaching? And I flipped through a lot of my answers, and this was the one that stood out to me. Prepare for the grieving, especially if you live in a small town community or community where you teach. And so there will be a grieving process in terms of, this was your life. And especially for a lot of us teachers, it is our life. We're there at school. When we come home, we're thinking about it. It consumes you, right? And so when you stop, it's like, well, ooh, what else what else can I do? And so that's one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is, what if you're laid off? So as a teacher, we have good security a lot of the times, and that is just going to be a possibility. But think of it like this. This is the reason why I showed you the other slide. There are 4 million of us. There are 133 million people who are non-teachers, and that's the world that they live in. And that's the world that we all live in. We have a very special bubble as far as being teachers in this society right now. So try and frame it in your mind like that not to say, oh, it's something that I want to have happen, but it's a possibility, and people deal with that. Not that everybody deals with it successfully, but it's just something that's a reality. And it can take a while to get that new position, 1 month, 6 months, 12 months. That's something that you do have to have in your mind, the reality of that situation. I know when I started looking for this position, I started like in about March. And that kind of goes into this next slide, which is, should I leave mid-year? Now, I worked for a contract agency that was hired by the district for teachers. So I wasn't under contract with the district from January until May of this year. And I did that on purpose because I didn't want to be bound by a contract in that manner. But I was prepared. If someone offered me a job in March, I was fully prepared to say, okay, here's my 2 weeks, or I think it was 30 days that I had to give them, and leave. Not because I just want to abandon the students, but you literally have to put yourself first. And we're so used to putting everything else first in terms of when it comes to teaching, that when you make that decision that you want to leave, you can't say, okay, I'm going to just wait until the end of the semester, or I'm going to wait till the end of the school year, because the job cycle doesn't work that way in the 133 million that are out there, in those positions that are out there. So should I leave mid-year? As I have interviewed the teachers, a lot of them left mid-year. The big question, will you miss summer? I think I had one person who said they do miss summers, and they missed it. I can't remember the exact reason, but it wasn't for the reasons that you think. So I won't say you won't miss summers, but because this is what everyone has said, that I don't have that stress. I don't need a summer vacation. I get vacation time from my job, and so I take it. Some people have unlimited PTO. Now, that doesn't mean that they're off all the time, but they can take it when they need it. So you just don't have that level of stress. Now, you do have other stressors. So it's the grass is not always greener on the other side in terms of stress, but no one has said it's the same type of stress. And I think, let me rephrase that. I know, because people have said it, and I've said it myself, because we've gone through the stress of teaching, that when these other stressors come up in our corporate and non-teaching positions, we're prepared for it. They're still stressed, they're still there, but we're absolutely prepared for it. All right. So what will your next career be? What are you thinking that your dream job could possibly be? Are you thinking about leaving within the next 2 years, or sometimes it may take you a couple of years to actually make that transition? And one thing, I have dream job up here, but for some people in my book, they got out in a position that was either adjacent to what they really wanted to do, or at a company where they really wanted to be. And so that's something to consider as well. I'm a former math teacher, so what changes can you make? Can you go back to school? Some people could. Like my lawyer, she went back to school and she's actually married to an optometrist, ophthalmologist or optometrist. And so they went back to school to do those types of careers. But a lot of times you don't have to go back to school. You can go to LinkedIn Learning and learn about a lot of things. You can go to Coursera. You can go to what I call, well, I don't call it, a lot of people do, YouTube University, and learn some things. And then also, I don't think I have a slide for it, networking. That's a big thing. We can talk about that as well if anyone wants to bring that up in the questions. So, have you decided that you want to leave? Are you afraid? And if so, why? Hopefully, I've given you a little bit of information, a little bit of inspiration to say that if others have done it, then I can too. And just think about it. Everybody didn't have the same situation. So you're sitting there and you're like, oh, well, I have this, 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 and this. I guarantee you someone else had it. And I'm not being flippant and I'm not being nonchalant that it can't be difficult, because it probably will be. But it's so worth it. It's absolutely worth it. So I have a book that's coming out. It's called Teacher Tired. If you'd like to be on the waiting list for my book, you can email me at future former teachers with an S at Gmail, and just type in Teacher Tired book. Also, I have a Reddit page that I'm just starting. And so if you're on Reddit, it's called Teachers Quit Now, because I'm going to be honest with you. I would not encourage anyone to go into education. No. I don't want to say let the system collapse. I don't want to say that. But some things have to change. And I want people to put themselves first. I myself, and I've talked with other teachers, because of the pay situation, to be honest, a lot of us have felt like, oh, wow, I wish I hadn't done this. Now, not for the students, not for the experience, not for the joy of teaching, not for the teaching aspect of it and that whole scene. That's not the reason, but just that one little thing is like, maybe if I had done something else. So that's why it's called Teachers Quit Now. I also had created a 5-day journal. And so you can download that for free. And it walks you through some of the questions that you may ask yourself. It's kind of like a self-guided journal. I'm not a therapist or anything like that. I even have a disclaimer that says that. But I really just started thinking about all of those questions. And so that's in there. And then it also has some action items for you to do, to maybe take a career survey. Because a lot of teachers that I've talked with outside of the book, they struggle to figure out, well, what is it that I can do? What is it that I even want to do? And so that journal is there to guide you as well. And I'm all set. I'm ready for questions. I'm going to come back to you, Abby.
Thank you. I feel like that all of what you're saying is really valid, because it is frightening to think about what's on the other side of teaching when that's what you know. But it's important to be brave and honor where you are in your life, because I think everyone has a different reason for wanting to make a move, whatever your reason might be. Know that the transitioning teacher community is strong. There are so many resources out there, and you can always find someone, like Dina said, that has probably been through a similar situation. Learning and development is a great space. Everybody here is super warm and welcoming, but it's not the only thing. I mean, I know teachers that are customer success managers. They really project managers, product managers. You can pretty much do anything. If you can teach, you can go do other things. Your skills are so marketable. We talk about budgets, doing more with less. I think teachers do that really well, as people's skills are so on point, the way you manage time and everything else. Don't sell yourself short. Yes. Find those resources. Dina has a bunch of them. There's a bunch of communities. I know I've done a lot of research. There was nothing like this when I left in 2020. And so it's a different landscape here, but I've picked up a lot. I forgot to mention yesterday, my profile has my LinkedIn. If you'd like to connect with me or chat about what a transition might look like, or what you could potentially do, or just have some resources, definitely let me know. I'm happy to just connect with you and be a supporter, because I think having support will make all the difference in the world. But like Dina said, it's not overnight. It's something that takes time. And you really kind of have to think about where you are financially, whether, you know, it's a good move right now or whether you might need to do a little bit more planning, because I wish you could say it happens overnight and you could walk into your next job next week, but that's not the current landscape of this current market. So definitely do your homework. I encourage everyone to explore, find people to connect with on LinkedIn that might have jobs you might like. Start chatting with them. Explore those free resources. You'll find your spot, but don't cut your exploration short.
Yes.
Definitely don't.
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't see any questions come through. I don't know if everyone's just kind of absorbing. Can I get a check here, an emoji? Are you still there getting coffee? Did you step away? Oh, I got a thumb up. Okay. I didn't know if anybody was kind of waking up still, or maybe you stepped away to get your breakfast. Or
all right then.
Yeah. Are you going to be able to hang out for maybe the last piece of your half hour? Should we open up a table? Or did you?
I can stay. I can do whatever. Yes, if you want to open up a table or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's do that. If nobody has any questions, what we can do is we'll close this session, but in the lounge area, when the session closes, if anybody wants to hang out at a table and chat with Dina, they can do that. So look for us there if you'd like to have a chat. But we're going to go ahead. This is going to be our break time, and we will come back in. It'll be an hour and a half, so it'll be 11 a.m. No, that's 11 a.m. my time. Sorry, 10 a.m. Pacific time, with to chat with Portia Chambers about networking. So hopefully you can join us. Maybe we'll see you at a table. But Dina, we appreciate this so much. These are some fantastic resources, and it's always inspiring to hear successful stories.
Thank you.
Of those that have done it and that there is life on the other side.
There is.
So come join us if you can at a table. And if not, maybe we'll catch you in the next session.
Thank you again.
Everybody.
Bye.